Hi, so I'm going to be making spaghetti and chocolate chip cookies for my 2-course meal. So the people that are going to be trying my food is my mom and my sister. So my mom isn't allergic to anything, and she's not a picky eater at all, so like she doesn't not like anything really. My sister isn't allergic to any foods either, and she doesn't like eggs or bananas. So I made sure not to make anything with that stuff in it. So yeah. Also, I chose to make spaghetti and cookies because I know that spaghetti is definitely one of the family favorites. And I know everyone likes spaghetti in this family. Also cookies, because I mean you can't go wrong with chocolate chip cookies, especially if they're homemade. So yeah. So I went to the grocery store and got some ingredients that I didn't have at home for the spaghetti and cookies. And as you can see, I have all the ingredients laid out for the cookies and the spaghetti to start making. The first thing I did was fill my sink with soapy water, so if I had any dirty dishes lying around, I could just put them in there. I did grab a dishcloth and a dish towel to clean and wipe my dishes off. To start the spaghetti sauce, I put the hamburger in the microwave to defrost. So I turned my stove on to high, and then I put the hamburger in the pan. And then I broke it up into little chunks and let it cook for about 10 minutes. And when it was done, I set it to the side and washed my hands really well because I did touch raw hamburger and I was about to cut the vegetables, so I didn't want any cross-contamination. So I washed the pepper and then I started to cut it right away, chop it up in diced form. When I was done dicing the pepper, I threw out the excess and started up with the garlic to mince. When I was done with the garlic, I went ahead and started chopping the onions up into dice form. Lastly, I grabbed the cilantro and washed it, and then I chopped it up a little bit to put in the sauce and to garnish at the end. After I was done cutting up the veggies, I went over to my stove and poured all of the veggies into a greased pan, and I let that cook on medium heat and stirring occasionally. When they were done, I poured them into the hamburger and stirred that up. And then I went ahead and added the tomato paste, and I added the diced tomatoes, not the whole can though. And then I added some tomato sauce little by little. I used the full can of the tomato paste, and then I used like 3/4 of the diced tomato, and I used the full can of the tomato sauce. So then I went ahead and added the spices. So I added basil and oregano, 2 teaspoons of each. And then I added a little bit of salt and pepper and mixed that up. And then I tasted it to see if I needed to add anything to it. And then lastly, I added some cilantro to the sauce. And then I started to wash some dishes. Moving on, I started up with the cookies. So I added 1 1/8 cup to a small bowl. And then I added a little bit of salt. And then I added 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then I mixed that up. And then to another bowl, I added 1/2 cup of butter that I softened. And then I added 1/2 cup of sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I mixed that up. And then I added 1 large egg. and then mix that up. After that, I added all the dry ingredients, but I didn't get that in the recording. And then I added the chocolate chips and cleaned up my workspace. So then I started up the noodles, so I filled the pot half with water and turned the heat on high and let that boil. I decided to make garlic bread, so I put those out on a sheet and then sprinkled cheese on them. And then when the water was boiling, I added the noodles and let that sit and stirred it occasionally. And then I put the garlic bread in the oven for about 5 minutes. And then I strained the water out of the spaghetti noodles and poured them back in the pot. And then I got the plates ready, put the noodles in, and then I put the sauce in. And then when all the sauce was on, I added the garnishes. So I put cilantro, pepper, salt, and some basil. So I set the table, so I put the garlic bread in the middle, and then I put forks, and then I got the plates out. I put the excess sauce into a container to use another time. So I went and got the cookies ready, so I put parchment paper on a pan, and then I rolled the cookies into balls. And then lastly, I put the cookies in the oven for 10 to 11 minutes. And then I just finished up some unwashed dishes. So I rate the spaghetti a 9 out of 10 because it was good. Yeah. For the cookies, I rate them a 10 out of 10 because I like cookies a lot and like, I don't know, they're just like really good.
I rate the spaghetti a 10 out of 10 because spaghetti is one of my favorite things to eat. The noodles were cooked just perfectly and the sauce was perfect. It wasn't too spicy. And the cookies are delicious. Chocolate chip cookies are my favorite and they are moist and they melt in your mouth.